Why were the Papal States so powerful in medieval Europe? Imagine a tiny piece of land wielding more influence than many kingdoms combined. That was the reality of the Papal States during the Middle Ages. These territories, centered around Rome, became a major force in European politics and religion. Their power came from a mix of spiritual authority, land control, military strength, and clever diplomacy. When Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne as emperor in the 9th century, it set a precedent that no ruler in Western Europe could claim legitimacy without papal approval. This act made the Pope not just a spiritual leader but a key political figure. The papacy had already gained land from Pepin the Short, the Frankish king, which grew into a sizable territory. By the High Middle Ages, the Papal States controlled large parts of central Italy and had their own armies and resources. This gave the Pope independence from other rulers and the ability to defend and expand their lands. The Pope's most powerful tool was spiritual authority. As the head of the Catholic Church, the Pope claimed authority over all Christians. This meant that if a ruler disobeyed or challenged the Pope, he could be excommunicated. Being cut off from the Church could cause a ruler's subjects to turn against him, making excommunication a strong weapon. Popes could also threaten rulers with excommunication to get what they wanted. Another key source of power was the Pope's control over church appointments. The Pope decided who became bishops and abbots, who often controlled large amounts of land and wealth. This gave the Pope influence over vast territories and resources across Europe. The investiture controversy in the 11th century was a long fight over this authority, but it ultimately strengthened papal control. The papacy also played a diplomatic game. They maintained relationships with kings and emperors, often acting as mediators or peace brokers. The Treaty of Venice in the year 1777 recognized papal rights over certain lands, and by the year 1300, the Papal States had become effectively independent from the Holy Roman Empire. This independence let the Pope pursue his own political goals while still holding spiritual sway. The Pope's authority was also demonstrated through the Crusades. The Church could call for holy wars against non-Christians, rallying armies from all over Europe. Knights and soldiers fought not just for land or riches, but for spiritual rewards promised by the Pope. This ability to mobilize armies on a religious basis gave the papacy extraordinary political power. The Church also accumulated wealth through tithes, donations, and land holdings. The Papal States generated income from taxes and land management, which funded a sophisticated bureaucracy and military forces. This wealth allowed the Pope to support a large administration and influence many parts of Europe through patronage and appointments. Of course, the power of the papacy was not without limits. Many popes depended on kings for their election and support. The relationship between church and state was often tense and contested. By the late Middle Ages, challenges to papal authority grew, leading to events like the Great Schism, where multiple popes claimed authority at the same time. Still, during the height of medieval times, the combination of spiritual leadership, territorial control, diplomatic skill, and wealth made the Papal States one of the most influential powers in Europe. The Pope's authority was rooted in faith, but it was backed up by armies, land, and political savvy that made them a force to be reckoned with across the continent.